everyone.
Hello. Hi.
I'm
Nice to see you guys. It's been good.
same, same. How are you, Christine?
I'm good. Although it's kind of, you might see I have around here right now, it has been very wet and all of everything is blooming and molding outside because of it. And so, anyway, my allergies are a little crazy. So, if I go into sneezing mode or my eye starts watering, this has been a thing, just one. The other eye is fine, but this eye will water. Anyway, that's the only thing that's a little crazy, but it's not like making me miserable or anything. It's just a little weird. But
Yeah,
yeah. So, how are
that's
you,
the case
Pearl?
with my family.
What did you
My
say?
boy, I said that is the same thing at this time of year.
Yeah.
Everyone is like hay fever, eyes, nose, everything else. My second son,
Yeah.
he's decided to get an injection, which apparently helps you for the whole season because
Hmm.
they really do suffer.
Yeah. Well, I live
Yeah.
by my essential oil roller bottle. It is my allergy one. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I would do without
Yeah.
it. It's what keeps me sane. But
Oh, do you put that under your nose?
I put it on like goggles and then
Hmm.
right here on my ears and then a little bit under my nose. So for me, most of it gets in my eyes. That's where I notice it the most. And then in the rest of my everything, of course, but I feel like my eyes need it the most. So that's why I always put it there. Is for me,
Yeah.
my allergies start there and then it moves to in my sinuses and in, you know what I mean, all the rest. So, yeah. And I'll put it on the bottom of my feet too. So, um, I don't know if you know, but there are so many places on the bottom of your feet that can get into your system, and it's so helpful, especially if you have any kind of respiratory stuff going on and you're clogged up, um, where the essential oils aren't going to get into your into your system. If you do it on your feet, then you'll even start smelling it, which is so funny because if you can't smell, like it's really weird to have the sensation of, oh my gosh, I can't smell anything, but I can smell all of a sudden because it's coming through from the inside. And so, anyway, it's pretty fun. I like that.
Mm.
It's helpful when you're really sick or something like that. So, yeah.
It's amazing how parts of the body can work in really strange ways. So, yeah, I was talking to the Lord about my whole body early hours this morning. So that's interesting.
So, what were you talking about him about your body?
So having listened to the recording because I missed last week's session, and obviously I listened to the one the week before, I was engaging and with someone, and yesterday morning, early hours this morning, I just sensed it's like my soul was speaking to my body, and like my body was complaining of how much stress I had put it under and how I had neglected it. Is as though I didn't love my body. And the message coming from my body for the first time, I've actually heard my body speaking to me. But then it sounded as though it was familiar, but it wasn't familiar. It's as though my body had always been speaking to me, but I wasn't hearing. But this time, because I took the time out to listen, I heard, and it was quite sad,
Oh,
really sad. It's like someone that is really close to you telling you how you make them feel.
yeah.
So I took it before the Lord and I just saw myself releasing all the trauma, all the things I put it through. I found myself as though speaking to um, uh, my body, but not just my body. I saw my body like as a person. So speaking to my body as a person, regretting, asking for forgiveness, you know, repenting of it and just yielding myself to the Lord and just asking the Lord to just heal me. It was quite sad,
Oh,
but good, but good, you
right,
know.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I know
So
that feeling. I've done that so many times, and it's like your soul just goes, I never meant to do this to you, and your body just, it's interesting. That's been my experience too. A lot of not just neglect, but my soul has intentionally not listened to my body a lot. And I went through years of that where I was in extreme pain and I would say, shut up, you're fine, get through it, that sort of thing to my body all the time. Um, like, suck it up, don't, whine, basically. That's kind of, even though I wasn't always actually using words, I was for sure doing that. Like, I was coaching myself, trying to coach myself, but it was really harsh on my body. I mean, I abused my body for years because of that. And I've done that in lots of ways in my years and not realized it for a long time. And then my body started just completely not trusting my soul, my spirit, therefore the Lord. Like, really, it was interesting to see the disconnect in my body.
yeah,
And it's taken a long time for any kind of trust to come. And even
yeah,
then, it's not like full on trust, it's just better. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, yeah. I think what the other sad thing was is that it seemed as though the things it seemed as though there were things inflicted on my body, and is my body, when someone punches you and you hold the energy of that punch and you don't release it. That's what my body was kind of telling me that was happening. So all the traumas and everything that had attacked my body, not just through sickness, but also from the emotions, the emotional overload and the mental overload that was affecting my body. It seemed as though I was holding on to it. And by the end of it, when I was releasing it to the Lord, it just felt as though like my body could breathe, and it's like trusting the environment around me. So the environment was a divine, a divine, a divine environment that felt safe. So I was able to just like let go and like allow the atmosphere of the environment just to kind of like hold me, like water is holding you, because you're able to just float because you feel safe in the environment and safe before the Lord. So that was the beginning of, I believe, what is happening in my body, being released from things. But I know it's just the first step of many.
that's awesome. Well, I love it. Thank you for sharing all that. I think you led right into, I was wanting everyone, if possible. Um, I know some of you haven't been here for a couple weeks, or more. um, if you have gotten anything and gone through any healing stuff from the last classes, like I was thinking about from last week, specifically, but even if it's been a couple weeks since you've been here, I would love if everyone would share so we can really grow with one another and through one another. Oh, Nidia, I see you're trying to talk and you did unmute, but we can't hear you. I think it might work now. Try.
Think I have you on speaker.
I we can hear you
Oh, there.
now.
Okay, good, because I can hear you, but I'm so sorry. Um, since I'm out here, I'm at church, so I'll be on audio. But before it starts, I wanted to share praise report, and I think I shared this one where my sugar glucose has gone from 13 to 9 to the last most recent appointment I had was 6.9. So yay, yay on that. Praise God. Um, I did have a little roadblock, but we're just not gonna, yeah, we're gonna over that one. So I'll give the Lord the honor, the glory, and the praise on that. I've been feeling a lot better, emotionally, physically, even like my place at work, the Lord's been cleansing the land and doing amazing things there. Praise God, I've had the pleasure to meet with my sister Amanda, and she's been a partner with me on that. I mean, it's amazing things um, in there. And let's see what else. My gosh, he's done so much. He's gotten. I had asked him that I wanted to go deeper with him and just deeper healing and just deeper with him. And I've been having a lot of dreams. It's just I don't even know how to explain it because I don't really understand it, but I just know I had a shot like 2, 3 days ago. I woke up with the pain of a needle and I saw it in the spirit that I was getting a shot. So if anybody can get on anything on that. And I just woke up and it was like painful and I was like, okay, I know it has to do with healing. I'm wondering what that is about, but I hadn't gotten anything about that. So I know that he's continuing to work, but as I'm like kind of like dormant, like sleeping, deep sleep and kind of just remember things, there's a lot of action going on. I can sense it. I can feel it. I can feel it just in the spirit. I don't know, understand what it is all about, what it is and whatnot, but there's definitely a lot of activities. So praise God. I'm excited for all that he's doing.
Yay. Hey, I did see something when you were talking about the shot. So you might just ask the Lord if this is accurate, but this is what I saw. I saw that you were getting a blood transfusion in the spirit. So, not really sure what that's about, but usually it's great because it's always been, every time I've seen it, it's been Yeshua's blood, like that happening to you. So it probably is for physical health. I mean, when that happens, it's generally like a physical health thing. So I'm not sure what, but that could be like super awesome. I mean, probably obvious.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. So I know that's a little more than a shot. That's why I was saying you should test it with the
No
Lord.
wonder it was painful. I was sore like 3 days, like continuous 3 days, and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow, that's funny.
Praise the holy name.
All right. Anyone else have anything to share?
I will. So this is a result of the last weekend and listening with you guys to that um, session and the piece about mother wounding. And so my mom was a very nice one, loving mom. I was very fortunate. I've been very blessed with my parents. Um, the big wounds that I've had have not come from my parents, at least intentionally. And
Right.
so that's what I went to in talking in thinking about my mother, the mother wound. And so my parents were both very good-looking people, and I have always had this feeling that I'm not, that I'm homely, that I'm whatever, that I'm just not pretty. Um, and so in thinking about my mom, one of the memories that came up was being like probably around 13, just going into high school kind of and going shopping for school clothes and thinking I was getting all these cute outfits kind of thing. And what we ended up getting were like baggy jeans and men's t-shirts.
Mm.
And um and so I I was okay with that. At that point in my life, I was not one to buck my parents at all. Um, and and in this process, though, it's like I've sometimes wondered, and then this confirmed it, that my mom was wanting to protect us and not wanting us to be attractive, and so it's like, how was she violated in her life? And I haven't gone into that much in the engaging process, but I do think that's part of what it is, and I feel like I need to go there because over the years of feeling like I'm not pretty, I've actually created a situation where, like, I'm, a good 50 pounds, 75 pounds even. I'd be healthier losing 75 pounds than I would be, overweight, and I know a lot of people that are overweight that are gorgeous. And at the same time, I it I I've done a lot of things to lose the weight and it's not coming off. And I feel like it's a spiritual thing and some piece that I need to grow through, release, whatever. So that was something that came out of last week's class. So thank
Wow.
you.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to share about their healing journey?
Yeah, I do.
Great.
So I don't know if you can see my hair, but it's totally chopped off.
It's so cute. I love it.
Thanks. But I've been really upset.
You look so gorgeous, Amanda.
Thank you. I was so upset
So
about it
pretty.
Why were you upset about it?
because this side is shorter than this side. And I used to do hair, and it bothers me when my haircut is not even. I like a very precise haircut. I used to, like, when I was in beauty school, I was the one that would go around and check everybody's haircuts. So it really bothers me when it's not precise.
You look really cute.
Even though it like builds character or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I started thinking about it and I was like, why can't I let this go? Because I was like, it does look okay, it's similar to what I wanted. It doesn't look too bad. And then
It's more than okay, Amanda.
I heard because I didn't want it chopped off like a boy. And then so somebody in my family posted a picture this weekend of me and my brothers and my sisters and my mom. And I have extremely short hair. My bangs are like right here, and it's kind of like a round bowl type cut. And I want to say, I thought when I was younger that it was closer to a Dorothy Hamilton cut. But when I looked at it the other day, it wasn't a Dorothy Hamilton cut, but it was very similar to my mom's cut. And my mom had hair like mine, with the curls in it. And it brought me back to a day that I had long curly hair and she cut it all off. And I cried that whole day because she cut my hair off because I did not want to look like a boy. And that's where that came from. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm still trying to process it. And don't get me wrong. I mean, people with short hair, if they can pull it off, I think it's gorgeous. But for me, it was just like, it was a trauma thing for me.
Yeah.
And, but I do like it. I like the way that my curls bounce up and everything. But another thing that we talked about for the healing and the mother traumas and stuff like that, we talked about my legs and we talked about my grandmother and then my mother. And so I was dealing with that part, but uh, there was a part in there. I mainly dealt with my grandmother, and I found out some things about my grandmother that I never knew. That she was an artist and she was able to draw. She was a very good artist, and a lot of people in my family are artists. Well, not art. I don't want to say artists, but they know how to draw very good, like extremely well. And also, like, a lot of my grandmother died very early. She was 54. She had 10 kids. My understanding is that she got married between the ages of 12 and 14. and my grandfather was 26. And so there was a lot going on there that I did not realize because it was just something that we lived with. So I'm still working out on those issues right there before I move on to my mother.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. So I'm going through it.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing all that, Amanda.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Well, I have been dealing with instead of my personal mother wounds, I have been dealing with how I have injured my son specifically. This last week, I think it was this last week, I can't remember, but had a really serious conversation with him about some things that I have said jokingly that just wounded him. And I felt horrible about it, of course, because he was saying that he feels like I cut down his manliness all the time. And I felt horrible about that. I don't want to do that. He's 17. We deal with all this inner healing stuff. And I help people through it all the time. I don't want to be the one causing it. I mean, none of us do. But that's been the hardest, is to go, wow, how could I have done that and not even known? I mean, I think it really does help me have more compassion for my mom, because goodness, I mean, I think, wow, saying that did that, and especially like with my son, we joke around a lot all the time, and we've always been we make fun of each other, that sort of thing. And the girls, we never do that with, because they can't handle it, but with Soren, we've done that for our whole lives. We're very sarcastic, funny kind of people, clever, that sort of thing. And so it's sad when I realize, oh, I went too far and I didn't even know. And so anyway, I've been dealing with some of that this week and trying to figure out, how can I heal him? How can I do my part? Relating to him in the spirit, because he's at the point right now where kind of the last thing he wants is to do the vulnerable inner healing with me. Which is kind of typical for any kind of teenager. But that's, he's at the point where he's starting to pull away, and in a healthy way, I think. I'm not saying it's bad. But there's some pulling away that's trying to be his own person, be more independent, that sort of thing, which is great. But I'm not the one to bring him through all that stuff. So then I have to think, okay, what can I do? How can I make sure and do my part in the spirit? So sorry for crying, you guys. I always cry with you guys. Every time. This is why I keep Kleenexes right by my desk. Anyway, give me a second.
Your crying is a good thing. Thanks for sharing it with us.
I concur. Crying is very good.
At least I have a lot of women in my class.
Okay, crying would heal men too.
It would, but they often judge it a little more.
And I think that's one of the things that we've been, like you said, judged by, is us crying. Because I remember as a child, we were told not to cry. And I'm guilty of that, telling my nephews, don't cry,
Oh, wow.
don't cry. I mean, it's an emotion that we're feeling, and it's true to what we're going through at the time.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have to suppress it.
True. True. Well, shall we press in together into the heavenly classroom? I think it's a good time, and then we'll get rolling on today's stuff, okay? All right. All right, let's focus back. All right, does anyone have anything they'd like to share about our engaging type?
All right, I'll share. So I have to start off with a little bit about talking about what happened when I engaged later in the week at the classroom as I was listening to last week's session. And I saw all of us like it was this huge space that we filled. And we were all like on these little, almost like platforms. And what the father told me was that we're all in different places in our life and we have different influences. And the work that we're doing is uh, it influences it's not just about our life, it's about areas in which we're experiencing our life, um, and uh, and it's about healing those areas as well. In other words, like for example with Nydia, she's a teacher and she works with young students and she works in the school system. Well, every time Nydia goes through healing work, it's impacting that area of our life. Like with Lorado, she's a young mom, she's at home, she's healing all this stuff. Well, it's impacting the that file, I don't know how to say it, but that component of life that's on this earth, that is young moms with young children also dealing with their own healing. And so this time, and also what he gave me in that time is that the heavens and the heavenly beings are so rejoicing over this, the work that we're doing. And we just have a lot of support and a lot of joy about the work that we're doing. Today, when I went in, I saw all of us were like, we were like all together in this clump of like almost like a girls' slumber party, playing with Amanda's hair and Lorado's baby, and just like a lot of hugs and closeness and just delight in each other. And then what the father showed me was that, and this is kind of, I hope that I'm able to say this in a way that's not too obtuse, but it's like he put it for me like on, it's like the staff of a music chart, of a music thing, that each line is a different note and each space is a different note. And we all are in a different place. We're in a different line, a different space. And as we heal that, um, as we go through the healing part in ourself, it it makes the frequency that is that note that we are expressing. It makes it more clear and more pure, and it makes it more powerful. And it also impacts, kind of going back to what I was saying about last week, it also impacts others that are on that same, in that same area of experience. And they may be there as long as we are or not, but and we move from different notes and all of that kind of stuff. But it's just that I have so much gratitude for the work that everyone is doing, because it's so powerful and it is changing. It is changing the frequency of this physical world that we live in, because we're becoming more pure temples of God to flow through us. So
That's cool. I love it. Mm, that's very encouraging.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, you all know that I'm still new, and I hope that what I was seeing was right. But my vision, what I saw is I saw horses when I first started out. I saw all these horses and they had wings.
Mm.
There were different color horses. They were so beautiful. Different color horses, and they were happy horses. They weren't angry horses. They were happy horses. And then I did see myself riding one of them, and it was so cool. But then we came to a place where it looked like it was a sea of glass. It was blue, and I heard what I believe it was God saying, "It's time." And I saw him getting something out, like he was dipping, and it was like it was oil, like he was pouring oil on all of our heads. Like he was just pouring all of this oil on our heads. And because it's time, and he said it was, I don't know, it was, I don't know. I'm not going to try to interpret that even more, but I saw the oil being poured out on everybody's head.
I love it. Can I tell you something about the horses?
Yes.
I know you haven't been around my ministry very long. Okay, so some of you will be like, "Oh, she's going to talk about it," but then others of you might be like, "What the heck? That's freaking weird." But uh I discovered a long time ago that that there is kind of a whole, I don't know how to say this. I'm going to call it an army of war horses, okay? And these war horses are unicorns, actually, and they also fly. But what's interesting is they don't present as scary war horses most of the time. In fact, we generally, each person has one that is not only assigned to us, but we kind of, have you ever seen Avatar before? Have you seen that movie? Yeah. Do you remember that they like kind of attach to one of these flying being sort of things? They ride them, and it's like it attaches to them and they kind of connect in the soul. Okay, well, it's, Karen's like, no, not really. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, anyway, that's not very helpful then, is it? Well, this is how these horses are with us. It's like they bond to us in our souls to where we function together. I don't know how to explain that, but whenever one is assigned to us, it's not just, oh, we can ride a horse. It's like they're kind of part of us, and they can help heal us, they can help fight for us, all sorts of different things. And we also need to do the same for them. So sometimes if they fight hard for us, they can get injured and things, and we need to take care of them as well. And so anyway, you might press into that more and kind of meet your unicorn and all of that. Although their horns don't come out until they're like in war. So they just look like horses, except for when they're fighting, then their horns actually appear. And anyway, it's strange, but that's,
Is that the same for a lion that is a part of us?
I mean, I don't know. I've never had that same experience. So for me, I kind of manifest as a lion at times. So it's not really the same. It's almost like that is me, not just assigned to me with me. You know what I mean? So that's my experience. I'll tell you what, there are so many different ways that things happen in the heavenly realms that I can't say, oh no, this isn't how it is. This is how, I mean, it's almost like everything is a possibility. You know what I mean? There's nothing that's too weird, because you can have, I mean, goodness, in fact, I'm going to talk about this in a moment. If you guys don't care. Okay. Does anyone have anything else to share? I don't want to take over. I do this. I have a tendency to take over. Do you have anything to share about the engaging time before we start in on that?
I did. I just wanted to tell what I saw. It was the same as everybody, but it was different because when I walked in, everybody was like very quiet. Everybody was like chill, but it was a different from last week. Last week was more meditation. This week, everybody was like resting in peace. And when I walked in, I smelled like rose and gardenias.
Mm,
And then the Lord poured out um, His kindness onto everybody.
that's awesome.
That's what I saw. And then my unicorn, he carries uh, a little. It's like about this long, and it's round, and inside of it has a lector for healing. Or
What's
is that how you say it?
lector?
A lector, or kind of it's not really an oil. It's just a healing.
Um,
Um,
I know what you're talking about, and all of a sudden I'm an elixir. Is that
an
what you're
elixir.
saying? Yeah.
I guess so.
You
It's
know,
called.
so that's it. I don't know if he wears it around his neck, but I've seen a lot of them who wear them around their neck like that. And it's like this honey oil inside that is for both healing and like nourishment. So that's like one thing they kind of live on is honey oil, but it also can heal us. And anyway, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and in the heaven also I saw, or in the classroom I also saw honey, nuts, and like sweet things for us to partake in.
That's so cool. Awesome. Anyone else?
I was really struggling. I was getting a lot of distractions from things that has happened like yesterday and before. And I started to get annoyed with myself. And I'm sharing all this is maybe it will help someone that there are times when I really struggle to enter in where I should be. And sometimes I kind of like speak to the situation, hoping it will just go quickly so I can get where I'm supposed to go. And I tried doing that. And at one point, it's like I got so fed up. I just relaxed and I said, Lord, what shall I do? And sorry, Lord, what shall I do? I just heard relax. But this time, don't speak to the situation that's distracting you. Just relax. And I did. And in relaxing, it's as though it comes from my being rather than from my head.
Mm-hmm.
And as I did that, I immediately felt as though I was in a womb and I can see the umbilical cord connected to us.
Mm.
And what the Lord is saying, even in the classroom, that there are times when we don't have to be fighting things, addressing things. We can simply relax and the Lord will nourish us. Just like that baby was there in the womb, connected to the umbilical cord, and everything was provided for. That's what we should be like at times, knowing that as we relax in Him, we will be fed by our umbilical cord.
You
So
know
I just
what's
wanted to share
really
that in terms.
awesome about that is that that is
What's that?
exactly what today's class is about.
No.
Yes. So it's really cool that you went into all of that. It's just absolutely perfect. The Lord's already starting to teach. um yeah, so what the Lord wanted me to focus on today is um I don't know how to say this. True rest and I'm going to say rejuvenation. I'm not sure if that's the right way to put it, but kind of rest and nourishment in Him. And, I mean, if you've been around a while, I talk about Sabbath and all sorts of things a lot. That's something that the Lord has put on my heart. But I'll tell you what I'm going through right now, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful going through. So I want to tell you a little bit about yesterday and then about today and tomorrow. Okay. So, literal yesterday. Yesterday was Sabbath. If you guys know, I take Sabbath on the day that is like actually Sabbath on the Hebrew calendar. Okay. So Friday sundown to Saturday sundown is the literal day of Sabbath. Like that's the name of the day. And so I take my day of rest then. Now, what the Lord has shown me in the past, which is super wise, and sadly, I don't always listen to it, is that this day of rest needs to be totally focused on no work. And for me, it is whatever is considered work to me. Okay. So, what this means is like if you know, like traditional Hebrews and Israelites, Israelis today, if you know them, they have very strict rules about Sabbath. Has anyone been to Israel before?
Yes,
Have
it's
you
real.
seen the crazy rules like the elevators that are only for Sabbath where you don't push a button and stuff like that? And like you can't push buttons, you can't turn on and off lights, like you can't even use electricity. I mean, it's like it's so
No.
specific. It can't carry anything over a certain amount of pounds. I can't remember how much it is, but it's like really you can't drive a car. There Everything is very strict when it comes to rest. And I do think in some ways there's benefit to that. Okay. Um, that being said, that's not for me. Okay. So what the Lord has spoken to me is that it all depends on what is work for me. And so that can even change day to day. Okay. So for me, sometimes cleaning up the trash that my kids have left behind, okay, which if any of you have had teenagers, hopefully you understand this, like plates and whatever crap there is that they just leave out on the tables or whatever it is. Cleaning that up and putting it in the trash or in the kitchen or whatever is not always work to me. It's more like making me sane. And so sometimes it's just like, I got to get this and put it away. And it's fine. And then other days, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. Like that's how I feel. And it's work. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. I notice this about myself. What is work to me changes all the time. So it could be cleaning off the counter is wonderfully healing one day. And the next day I'm like, screw that noise. I want to sit in this chair. Like that is, it just depends on the day for me and how I feel. And so yesterday was my youngest birthday. You may have seen that on social media, Neva. It was her birthday. She turned 14. And we did most of the celebrating on Thursday with our family. But I knew that I had a little bit of celebrating to do with her for her birthday. And really, it was super low key. All she wanted was in the evening to watch a movie at home with me with popcorn. Okay. And that's it. That's what she wanted to do. And then I also knew that her friend Stella, who was kind of like another daughter to me. Okay. So she was adopted from Burundi when she was 5 by some of my best friends who also raised me in the faith. And so actually, River, you came to Kansas. So remember Jonathan, who was leading worship? If you're hearing this, it's his daughter, Stella. So anyway, Stella had a recital yesterday, a dance recital. So of course we had to go to the dance recital. And so we went to the dance recital, and then my one daughter wanted to go to youth group instead of the dance recital. So then my other daughter invited her friend Ray to the dance recital for the ticket. And so I had to go pick up Ray. And just long story shorter, my day filled up. Okay. So I had to have a door fixed and a camera fixed. And it had to take my son to the airport. Then my friend who just lost her mom was coming back from the airport later. And so I had all of this different stuff that I had to do. And it turned into no rest. I was so desperate for rest. During the recital, every time the lights would go off in the middle, like between dances, I'm like, please let me just rest my eyes. Like, this is how desperate for rest I was. I was trying hard to stay awake during this movie on my couch with my daughter because I'm like tired. Okay. And so for me, I wanted the rest really badly, and I did not get any rest yesterday. And Sabbath is supposed to be, for me, it is supposed to be not only a day of like lounging around kind of rest, though it is, okay. It's supposed to be rest for my soul. And so one of the things that the Lord told me is, so for me, that my main work is ministering to people. I'm not supposed to minister to people on Sabbath. Now, it may be totally different for you because that may not be work for you. Okay. But for me, that is my work. And so I am all day, every day, engaging over people, governing over things, fighting things, whatever. It's constant work in the spirit. Okay. Now, I don't mean that doing that is bad. I actually love my work. Like, that's the best thing. I wouldn't want to do anything else. But the Lord has said to me, I have to focus only on my relationship with him on Sabbath. Like, I need a day that is set apart just for him and me. I can't pray over other people. Like, it's intense because some people are like, what? You can't pray over? I'm sorry. Like, this is supposed to be set apart just for me and the Lord, because I have a tendency to neglect it. I mean, the truth is, I will pray over you, I will pray over everybody else, and I will completely neglect just getting to know him and my own identity and my own healing and all of that stuff. And so, just kind of like we do as, it's not only as mothers, it's like just as women, we are caretakers. We do this with everybody. And so we may give somebody a ride and we do this. We just take care of business. That's what we do. And so that is, all of us deal with this to some extent. And what's interesting is I listened. Do you guys know what time hop is? Does anyone have time hop? I'm sure you guys, most of you are on Facebook, so you have like memories pop up, right? Okay, Time Hop is like that. It's just an app on my phone where it has like on this day every year. Okay, so it comes up from Instagram, from my pictures in my phone, from whatever posts I've done, anything like that. It all comes up on that one day. And so I get to see what happened 1 year ago, what happened 2 years ago, that sort of thing. And I love looking back at that stuff. And today, it's so funny because 2 years ago, I did a Facebook Live and it was all about this. So it was all about what happened to me as I was giving a ride to someone early in the morning. And I am not a morning person. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I am a night person all the way. I stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning. That's like my sweet spot is night. So I like to skip mornings. I would like to pretend like mornings don't exist. That is just kind of how I am. Please let me sleep through the mornings and it'll make me happy. And so anyway, but I am a person who I always sacrifice myself for other people. So if somebody needs something early in the morning, I will dreadfully do it. So I will not be happy and loving about it. I will pretend like I am. I will certainly pretend like I am. But in my heart, I am like, oh, I do not want to get up. And so, anyway, I was giving this guy a ride to be nice because he had to get some testing done. And so I was doing that. And I had a friend who was really concerned about me because I wasn't prioritizing my own health. And so one of the things, if I get up in the morning really early, I'm probably only getting like 4 hours of sleep. And so I'm not doing what's right for me. And my health really depends very much on sleep. Actually, everyone's does, but especially some of the diseases that I struggle with. It has a lot to do with sleep. And if you're not getting good sleep, you're just neglecting it. And so, anyway, here I am neglecting myself for this person. And I'm trying to be happy about helping. But instead, I'm just feeling more worn down. And everybody hears put on your own oxygen mask before you help the person beside you, right? Like we've all heard that a million times, and we know that's true, but it's very hard for me. And I feel like this is a common problem, especially for women. It's hard to do that because I think I'm fine until I'm not. And probably you have dealt with the same thing. You think you're fine, until now all of a sudden your body is shot, your mind is shot, just like you were talking about, Pearl, how you just kept thinking about all this other stuff and it was just distracting. Isn't that what happens to us a lot in our relationship with the Lord when we are overworked? When we don't have a time to just relax in Him, we get so distracted we can't even do it. There was a time when the Lord told me to quit doing any ministry, to take a little sabbatical for a few months. And that was a lot because I was constantly ministering. And so I was like, okay. And I did. And you know what? It took me about a whole month to be able to actually rest, which is insane. Like a month to get into true rest. But I just was so used to running. That was who I was at that time. All I was doing was running and focusing on other people. And it was really hard for me to get into rest. And so now I understand the whole, the verse that says, strive to enter my rest. You have to work at entering His rest. And what that means is you have to try to focus when you can't focus. You have to arrange your life to where you intentionally have rest. And so here's what I've done. I sent Soren off to Arizona to visit his girlfriend. I say I sent him off. I was kind of very not looking forward to this, but happy for him. Anyway, I sent him off to Arizona. If you don't know, he's the one who lives with me full time. So, I don't get a break ever. I don't ever get a break, a full break. But here I am. Finally, he's leaving the house. Now, most people who have kids, they at least leave the house for school, but I homeschool. And so Soren is in the house freaking constantly. He doesn't have friends here. So like he only is online with his friends. And so he is in my house all the time. I do not have true privacy ever. Like that's a problem for me. I am an introvert at heart. And so I need alone time to recharge. And now he stays up as late as me. And so it used to be my late night stuff was very much to just recharge. Now he's up as late as me. And so it's not very helpful. But I knew he was leaving and the girls don't come back till Tuesday morning. So I'm like, I'm taking time off. And I'm going to prioritize my time with the Lord and for me to just recharge. And so today, the only thing I have going on, usually my day is packed. I only have this class and Kingdom Builders right after that I already had committed to. I canceled all openings for appointments and I canceled everything for tomorrow. So I have like a full day tomorrow and most of today to recharge, focus only on the Lord, and really focus on myself. I'm going to take a long bath. I'm going to do a face mask. I'm going to do all the things that really helps me relax and me take care of myself. I'm going to just chill. And beyond that, I'm going to focus some on, Lord, what do you want from me? What have I been neglecting to even listen to? Is there a new season? Is this, are you wanting to speak into my identity? What is it that you want to speak to me? And really, how do you want to minister to me? How can I minister to you, Lord? What is it that you want to share with me about yourself? I mean, when was the last time you asked the Lord, hey, what's your favorite thing? Like, I mean, have you gotten to know the Lord in a way that you could say, I am a friend of God? Or would you just say, I'm a child of God? Because you know how, like, a friend will care about each other, talk with each other about their stuff. And then there's like, I'll tell you, I have people who think I am their best friend, who I can honestly say they are not my friend. They are someone I minister to. You know what I mean? It's because they share everything, but I share nothing. So it is not a two-way thing. This is a how can I help you situation. And I feel like this is how I am with the Lord a lot. I can't honestly say that I am his best friend. I would say he's my best friend, but am I his best friend? I don't listen enough. I don't listen enough to what he is interested in, what he's up to, what he wants to do, what his favorite things are, how we can spend good time that he's ministered to. I don't ever think like that. Go ahead, Pearl.
You reminded me of a time I was sitting in my garden under my gazebo, and Holy Spirit appeared to me, and he said to me, Father wants to know if you'd like to be his friend. And I was completely shocked. So I went, I don't know. I don't know how to be a friend. And then suddenly I was before him. And I said the same thing and I started crying for some reason. I don't know why, because he's my father and I've never heard that kind of thing before. And I started telling him all the things that I thought of as being a friend. And then he said to me, You don't have to do anything, You can just come and just be with me. I was like, Well, that's not what I think a friend is. And through this conversation, what I got me most is what he said to me. After I said, Can you teach me? I don't know how to be a friend. He then went like this to me, right, and said, Do you know everything about you is friendship material? You are friendship material. And I went, Lord, that's what we said to other people. It's like, it's like, why are you speaking like we, like how we speak? And as a result of that, our women's group, they named the WhatsApp group Friendship Material. So it's just to say that it is a strange thing, but I am learning how to just come before the Lord and just kind of like hold on to him as my father. And I'm beginning to learn just to like ask him questions.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I really know how to be a friend, even though he said everything about me is made to be his friend.
Well, think about it. Do you have a best friend in this world? And you can just get together and hang out. And when you hang out, you inevitably get into conversations about what you love what exciting things have happened and then the sucky stuff that's happened. And then you share good food together and you just enjoy each other's company. You maybe even, like I was thinking about when you were talking last night when I picked up my friend Andrea from the airport. And I told you she just lost her mom. And so she was coming from her funeral was yesterday and she flew right home after. And so, all I did as a friend was hug her and let her cry. I didn't need to talk. It was just, you're loved and you're known, And she needed that so bad because when she was back home, she loved being around her family, but they don't know her, not like I do. Because when you have something in the spirit, it's just so much more special and deep and like real. And that's how it is with the Lord. Like we can just spend time with him and be truly known. Like I would say my best times with the Lord are just cuddling with him. Like that's all I do. And it's just this like complete relaxing into who we are, There's no pretending, there's no trying to be anything. It's just relaxing into who we are with each other. And I think that that's what real rest is supposed to be. When you were talking about the kind of resting in the womb with the umbilical cord, you have all your needs met. One of the things that he showed me is that on my day of rest with him, I'm not even supposed to govern anything. So I'm not supposed to fight. I'm not supposed to pay attention to what the enemy's doing. I'm not supposed to do anything like that. And it's because he's taking care of it for me. He's giving me a time of complete rest. Now, it's not saying he doesn't take care of that in other times, but he wants me to step into my responsibility in other times. Okay. So I'm learning to be responsible and to be like him. But there are times I just need to put my sword down and I need to just let him do it. And I feel like that's that umbilical cord kind of thing. All of my needs are provided for. I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to worry about fighting. I just get to rest in like total peace. And that's what we need. We need that time. And if you find yourself like me where Sabbath wasn't Sabbathing, this is what my daughter said yesterday, actually, because I was like, oh yeah, this is when I finally got her back from Dustin, because she spent the first part of the day with Dustin. Then I took her to the recital and all that and told her what was happening. And she's like, Mom, I think Sabbath isn't Sabbathing today. And I was like, never has a truer word been spoken. Like that is exactly true. And I think there are times when Sabbath isn't Sabbathing and we have to go, okay, let me rearrange and still prioritize this. And so I'm really glad that I have today and tomorrow to really focus on rest and really focus on just being with him and resting in him and not doing stuff. In fact, I had, oddly enough, that same person 2 years ago that I was taking to get testing done messaged me last week saying, hey, can you take me on Monday? I have this stuff I have to do and I can be dropped off at your house early in the morning. And then can you take me to do all these different things and set up a bank account and do all this and then drive me home? And I was like, you aren't stealing my rest. And I didn't say that. That's in my heart. What I was saying was like, no, this is protected. And so I said, I can do it any other day. What other day can you do it? Because I just cannot I have to prioritize and protect that time, because if I don't, it will get stolen. That is what happens to me anyway. It's not just that I feel it, I let other people feel it. I go and, just like yesterday, I just let everyone steal the whole day. Now, part of it was intentional, like my daughter's birthday and spending time with her. That wouldn't have been anything that was work to me if it wasn't just with everything else that was, you know? And so I think we have a tendency to let people steal our rest. And so you can do this every day. You can have a time set aside just for the Lord, that is for him, and just entering into rest. That's called margin. I mean, we need to have margin in our lives. If you think about a piece of paper that has like the margins on the side, and only this part is what you're supposed to fill up, and the rest of it is for margin, we need that in our lives. We really need that on the daily. We need time that we set aside that is just for chilling, and it is just for the Lord, and it's just him and us. And maybe we put on a face mask, and maybe we just lay in bed, but whatever it is, we just go, this is for me and the Lord, and that's it. And so if you do that, if you think about a piece of paper with margins, they're not just anywhere. Like, you don't put over here's a space, and then over here's a space, and over here's a space. You have to be intentional about the boundaries. And if you're not intentional about the boundaries, it won't happen. You will go all the way to the end and go, oh crap, I have to make really little letters to make it fit. Like, that is how we function if we don't put margin in our lives. And so we have to be really intentional with boundaries. So maybe you put this in your calendar. I don't know what will work for you, but it needs to be something that you go, I'm going to be intentional about this. I'm not just going to hope it happens, because I'll tell you what, if you hope that a Sabbath happens, if you hope that you're going to have margin every day, you will go months or years without having it. In fact, I was thinking about this with Lorado. Oh my goodness. You going and working 12-hour days for 7 days straight. By the way, I know you can't always help these things, but that is difficult. Like, you are going to burn out. I'm going to tell you in wisdom. I am not speaking death over you. I'm trying to say wisdom says you will burn out. So please do whatever you can to set aside time for rest, that real rest in the Lord. And if you have to do that on a daily to make it happen, like, make sure that you do that. Because I'll tell you, in the scriptures, it says that Sabbath was made for us. That day set apart for the Lord was made for us, which is really interesting. But the Lord did that on purpose. He gave us mandatory vacation every week to be able to help us survive and help us recharge. Just like we have to sleep every day. We have to do that to recharge our body. It's like necessary for life. That is how Sabbath is supposed to be for us. It is just mandatory to help us survive. And it may not be mandatory in the way of physical, although I think it is for physical too, but it's also for our souls, because our soul needs a time to go, I don't have to strive for anything but him. I just can rest. When your only requirement is to strive to enter his rest, it is freeing. I'll tell you what, when I first started celebrating Sabbath, it was so freaking hard for me, because I was not used to not working. I felt guilty for anything. I felt guilty for taking a nap. I felt guilty for when my husband was cleaning stuff up, and I was like, this is work to me. I shouldn't be doing this. And I felt guilty for not working. I felt guilty for not working in my business because we had something every Saturday. And now I look forward to not working, It is totally different. Now, instead of feeling guilty, I'm like, oh, yeah, I have a free pass for a nap. The Lord says I can nap as much as I want. The Lord says I need to completely rest and not do the dishes. I get to sit here, and this is a mandate from the Lord. And so I feel good about not working now. Now I realize it really is a vacation. This is something that, or holiday, as some of you say. Okay. It really is holiday. It is something that is like, oh, wow, I get to relax and enjoy myself like on purpose. It's wonderful. And it's something that is so healing to us. And so if you're wondering, like, how does this really come into my healing? You guys have all intentionally set a time aside for this healing class. Okay, most of you, not all of you. Some of you are listening and have never been to a healing class in person. Okay, so I don't know when you set time aside, if you even do. I don't know, but at least all of you who are here on purpose, and you have set time aside for your healing. This is so important that we prioritize our time with him, that we actually make this a time for healing. So it doesn't have to be this class. It can just be something that is intentional, that you go, this is just for you and me, Lord. And I'm going to focus on you, and I'm going to focus on what I need and how you want me to heal. Because of course, as we go through our own healing, we will pour it out in other people. That's just our tendency. That's what we're made for. And so the more we do this, the better it will be for everyone around us as well. And so please put on your oxygen mask first. Please prioritize your own healing, your own rest. Take time if you need to. Here's what I would recommend. You can do whatever you want, but I recommend that you have intentional time set aside for engaging whatever we're doing this week in healing, right? I've told you this, like, I recommend meeting with other people to engage over this. Do you have to? Of course not. Do you have to listen to the recording? No, but I recommend it if you want the most out of it. And it's not just the most out of a course. This is the most out of your relationship with the Lord. If you want the richest life, you need to prioritize time to focus on your healing. Why pay for a class if you're not going to do the good, fun work? Okay. So this is the good stuff, is like, I get to focus on my own healing, my own growth, my own relationship with the Lord. That's the good, rich stuff. And so if you're paying for it, do it. Like, just prioritize the time to go through and go, okay, this week, how can I focus on rest? What am I going to do this week? Let's set out time every day that I just focus on resting in the Lord. What if you did that? If you were like, I'm going to set an appointment every day at 7 a.m. I'm going to be focus on sleeping at that time. But everybody else, if you're a morning person, you could be like, 7 a.m. is my time with the Lord to rest in him and just go through my own healing. Because when you rest in him, you are intentionally receiving his healing. Because we have a tendency to focus on all of the voices outside. Sometimes it's demonic stuff. Sometimes it's our kids. Sometimes it's work. Whatever it is, we focus on all the things. Oh, what do I need to do? And you don't need to have guilt over that, but recognize that there's a time that you can just say, no, I'm going to just rest in him. And here's what I do. I'll be honest. I set an alarm on my clock to wake up and to engage with the Lord. And I intentionally push snooze when I do this, because I know that I'll probably fall back asleep, and it's okay. Like, the Lord has shown me this is okay if you just rest in me and you fall back asleep. And so it's okay to spend time with him, just resting in him, and not have to go, do, because usually when I wake up, and I start to focus in on him, the very first thing that comes to mind is, oh, this person asked me to engage over them. Oh, this person, I need to really govern over this business. I think of all the things that I have to do, and I'm not really just focused on him. And so I have to go, wait, I can do that later. Right now, it's just him and me. And so I do this every morning, and I fight those battles every morning with having to have these things that I think I need to do in the spirit. And so I have to just focus on him. What I was going to tell you guys earlier, way earlier, when we were talking about our engaging times, we were talking about animals being assigned and things like this, right? One of the things years and years ago, when my son was little, he was 8, and he was really struggling with going to sleep without me. Okay, so he was a preemie, and my husband was deployed whenever he was born. And so for the first 9 months, it was just Soren and me. And he was on a heart monitor, so he couldn't be without me. Like literally, I couldn't be in a different room than him ever. And so he was with me all the time, and he got used to falling asleep with my touch. Okay. It was like this at the beginning, and this lasted forever, it felt like. Okay. So even when he was getting older, I had to like lay down with him until he fell asleep or something. Or even later, it would be okay, I'd sit in a chair next to his bed and hold his hand until he fell asleep. And it was a long time of this. And I was like, Soren, you're getting old. You need to go to sleep by yourself, and he's just like, I can't do it, Mom. And I'm like, okay, let's just ask the Lord what to do. And so the Lord gave him a couple things. First of all, he gave him a hammock in the heavenly realms that he could go and rest in with Yeshua. He also gave him a koala. And this koala was kind of like cuddling with a stuffed animal, but it wasn't a stuffed animal. It was like a real animal in the heavenly realms. Okay. So he had a koala, and he had Yeshua in the hammock. And so he learned to go and rest with Yeshua in the hammock. But still, he was struggling to go to sleep without me. And so the Lord said after that, he said, okay, you know that you can both meet in the hammock. Even time is not the same in the heavenly realms as it is here. So even if Soren would engage at 8 p.m. and I'm engaging at midnight, we would both meet at the same time in the hammock in the heavenly realms. And so that's what we ended up doing. So we would do that, and it for him worked every time. And it for me too. I mean, I would see him in the hammock, I would go rest with him, and it was wonderful. And it's really interesting because now he doesn't need that, of course, but he still has that koala and that hammock with Yeshua. And he can go there anytime and rest. And so when we were engaging in the heavenly realms this morning, or earlier, I should say, together, I saw that there was this place that we were supposed to go and rest with the Lord. And I'm guessing each one of us will see that place as very different. Some of us might see the womb. Some of us might see a little, body of water. Some people might see a hammock. It might be the bed chamber, in the Father's heart. Who knows where it will be? But each one of us needs to find that place that we can go and rest in the Father's presence, probably with Yeshua. Who knows? But this is something we need to seek. Okay. So, what I would like is right now, let's engage the Lord and seek that resting place and see where it is. And it might be somewhere very familiar for you, and it might be somewhere brand new. So, be open to both. Okay. But we're just going to take some time and rest in Him. All right. All right, let's focus back here. Thank you for showing me your face. Wonderful. So, anything you guys want to share?
I didn't have anything. I was just really, really sleeping, really sleeping.
I'm surprised you woke
I
up
mean,
then.
well, because I could still hear. I don't know. I thought I heard somebody's voice while I was in the rest and in the sleep because I was still engaging with the Father Spirit. So I could still hear myself. So I don't know what was going on, but I was resting.
That's cool. Cool.
Well, I went to my favorite place, which is by the River of Living Water. I have a spot right there that is under a big shade, and it's close by the water. And I was having a big salad from the leaves and greens from the tree of life with fruit of the tree of life, and then I had a cocktail drink with of the fruit of the tree of life, which I always do. So I'm like in this like vacation, right? Because if you could picture like your favorite beach, river, vacation scene, that was me. And I was like, oh yes, yes.
I
So
love
not was I only resting, but I was eating of the tree of life and just soaking my feet in the river, crystal clear water. So yeah.
that's awesome. Cool. Anyone else? Okay, well, let me share what I was doing. It's so interesting. I am so all over the place when I start to focus in. I don't even know how, but distractions are a real thing in my life for sure. And so for some reason, I see my phone go off. So then I'm like looking at my messages and I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to be engaging. And so then I go back to engaging. And then I'm like, maybe I need to go here or here or here. And it's like, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? And I'm, it was stupid. I mean, how completely distracted I was. And finally, I'm just like, Lord, I can't keep doing this. Please, will you just lead me and take me somewhere I've never been? So then I know I'm for sure not, manipulating things. And so, anyway, he did. And it was so beautiful and obviously for me. And it was like this whole other realm I've never seen. And it was full of flowers. And River knows because I was telling her how I love walking up my sidewalk because there are all of these different kinds of flowers in bloom. And it's really not the flowers I love as much as the smell. I love the smell of all of these flowers. And I have all of these different ones. And just recently, I get out of my car and I'm like, why does it smell like honeysuckle? Honeysuckle is my very favorite smell. And I'm like, I don't have honeysuckles. And I see that the tree of the neighbors that's kind of hanging over my driveway is like, has all of these honeysuckles growing on it. Like this vines have taken it over. I'm happy for it. It's wonderful. And so I'm like so excited that I have honeysuckles, even though they're not technically mine. They're mine. You know what I mean? And the smell is mine. And that's what I care about. And so anyway, in this new realm that the Lord was taking me into, he was having me lay in all of these flowers and especially honeysuckle I could just smell. And there was all of these smells of flowers, but honeysuckle was the most smelly of them. And I was like, really? There are honeysuckles in the heavens? This is what I was saying to Yeshua, actually. And he's like, these are for you. And I'm like, okay. And so anyway, it was just for me to rest. And I ended up having such a kind of romantic time with the Father, which sounds weird, I know, but it was wonderful and beautiful and just exactly what I needed. And so it was amazing. So anyway, that was my resting time, and it was what I needed, even though it took a long time to get there. Yeah. Well, I know that this isn't a very complicated subject like maybe last week or anything like that, but do you guys have any questions or anything about any of this stuff?
As you were speaking, the place the Lord had me go and rest after going here, there, and everywhere, because I've got a few, was back to where He showed me like all these like tiny lights, which I think I'd shared before. And He'd said to me that that is when I was trying to get familiar with Holy Spirit, because I'd struggled for a long time. I saw all like these tiny lights, and I said, what is this, Lord? And He said, that's the glory of Jesus. Holy Spirit is the glory of Jesus. So that's how He appears to be at times. So I went to Him, and I saw myself as part of the same way He exists is the same way I exist. And then He put that ball into like, it just looked like a stomach. So, and He said to me that the only time in your life you have been really safe is when you were in your mother's stomach. And that's the safest place, or the full experience of safety that you would ever experience. And when you're there, there is like no memory of the past or the future. You just live in the moment. And in that moment is where you're going to find rest. Because I felt as though I was suspended. This time there wasn't an umbilical cord. I was simply suspended in Him.
Wow.
So which means I was totally nourished by Him. So that's my place of rest.
That's awesome.
And as you were speaking about your flowers, He reminded me of the time when I was learning to find time with Him, because I was going through a deep time of depression. And I didn't know I was engaging, but I used to find myself in this little cottage. And when I went into the cottage, I could smell sweet peas. And He said to me, this is for you. And I said, Lord, how did you know that was my favorite smell? And that's my favorite flower. And He went like, well, how did I know that?
That's funny.
So He does know our favorite flowers and our favorite smell, just to confirm.
That's awesome.
I know.
Pretty cool.
It's like, that's
cool. It makes me wonder if, I always have thought that the smell of honeysuckle was my favorite because when I was really, really little, my dad had them at his house in the backyard, and it's something I remember. And so I thought I must really love them because of that. But I am starting to wonder if maybe the Lord made me like this, like made that my favorite smell. And it wasn't learned. It was something that He put inside of me, It's kind of cool. Because even if I'm like that in the spirit, it has to be something that is more than just physical, you know?
It's so weird. we we share a lot of traits, Christine.
Oh, yeah.
We in my house, we had honeysuckle on all our fences. And my dad grew that honeysuckle because he wanted privacy. But we loved those honeysuckle. I mean, we would go and do all kinds of stuff with those little bitty honeysuckles. We'd suckle on them, we'd put them as flowers and just put them in our hair, and we would play with those honeysuckles all day long.
That's
I love honeysuckle.
that's awesome.
Yes.
I was just
I
thinking, why don't they have honeysuckles and bouquets of flowers? Like,
I know,
it's the
right?
most beautiful smell to me. I don't understand.
I often think about if I go home to my house in San Angelo that I will start regrowing those honeysuckles because he chopped them down like late after my mom had passed away. And but yeah, I always think about those honeysuckles. I love
That's
them.
so cool. I love it. Awesome. Well, anything else you guys want to share or ask? Okay, well, I guess I will end things here. And if you are part of Kingdom Builders, then you can join us in 9 minutes, 8 minutes, or stay on if you want. I don't care. And we're going to be engaging heaven together today. So just sharing a little, having some fellowship, engaging time. You're welcome to stay on if you want. Okay. I love you guys. Have an awesome week. Bye.